a lot of the time when people talk about life systems, they end up talking about like platformers, you know, like the recent Crash 4 or Sonic Mania, or I don't know, the Marios before Mario stopped having a life system. A lot of the time they point out how pointless they are, how most players got way more lives than they would ever need, and how they were basically sort of this irrelevant holdover to when games actually like made lives something you actually had to be concerned about. Now, I understand why the classic life system is kind of dead. Not that many players want to lose potentially hours of progress because they lost all their lives, and that means you've got to go back to the very, very start. You know, that's why occasionally some games will throw in something like that as an extra optional mode. But let's talk about Doom Eternal, because Doom Eternal has somewhat of a flawed life system. It's attempting to get around this issue by adapting a sort of life system similar to the Devil May Cry games, in which when you die, you can just pop back exactly where you were with an extra life. Or if you don't have an extra life, you can just go back to a checkpoint, which takes you a little further back. In this case, a life system acts very much like a classical sort of beat 'em up, where instead of going back to say the last checkpoint, you just pop back up. And this I don't actually think works about WoW, and I'll explain why. A big issue is just that it's highly exploitable via spamming. Like, if you learn where lives are in the game, you can easily just pick up a ton via a level select. Now, you may say this isn't fair, but the game actively does encourage you to go back to previous stages for additional unlockables, which include like one of the best guns in the game, so you're definitely going to want to replay earlier stages to pick up stuff you missed. And since the game sort of has one of those upgrade systems we know is pretty much standard now, where you gain more life and more armor, more ammo, etc. as you play through, you're probably going to have a way easier time. So in replaying the game, I became just overstocked in lives, and this brings me to Devil May Cry, which doesn't necessarily do that much of a better job, but Devil May Cry at least has a ranking system which punishes you from using lives. Of course, Devil May Cry 5 also lets you spend real money on lives, so hey, I know you don't have to, but people complain about every time a microtransactions in a game, so I don't see why Devil May Cry 5 is somehow in some exclusive we cannot complain about this club. Like most Ubisoft games, I never have to worry about the microtransaction shit, it's still there. But back to Doom. Doom doesn't have this ranking system, so really there's no reason not to just stock up on lives and use them to blow through the game. I'm playing on what I think is the second hardest difficulty before you count in modes where you say you get one life and you die and then it's over or whatever. And the game started off way harder. Now I've kind of got my character fully upgraded and I'm stocked up on lives. I'm not really all that concerned. I'm pretty sure I'm going to be able to blow through the rest of this game pretty easily. So this isn't to say it's bad, but I don't know, I feel them having lives, I guess, aesthetically fits this sort of mess of health items, ammo, like big glowy things to collect, which is kind of the aesthetic Doom goes for. Sort of reminds me weirdly of, I guess, something like No More Heroes in a way, but whatever. So while I really like the game, I don't think the life system works. It's one of the more retro elements I think isn't really all that well thought out. And let's go into how it can probably be frustrating for players also in a way which, rather than being overpowering, actually kind of is unfair. And that's why you don't get any choice not to use your lives in combat. It's why I think this Marauder motherfucker pissed so many people off, because people go up against him, don't realise how you have to fight him since he's a very specific wait for the weak point boss. Just get spammed into a corner, die, then they spawn in the exact same place, still stuck in a corner with no ammo, and he just keeps hitting them and they die again and lose all their lives and feel really fucking pissed off. And yeah, I don't think it quite works all that well due to that. So I'm not saying, like, the game itself is mostly pretty fantastic, you know, 4 out of 4 for gameplay despite its minor flaws here and there. I generally dislike having to shoot off, like, some of these stupid little side missions where it's like kill 5 enemies with a blood punch also suck, but overall, yeah, fantastic. But let's talk about a game which I think actually has a really fantastic life system, and I showed you it at the start. Now, much like Doom Eternal, Streets of Rage 4 is very much partly retro-inspired, but when you look under the hood, you realise it's got a lot of modern stuff. Now, Streets of Rage 4, I say flat out, I think it's probably my favourite game I've played this year. And part of that comes to how well it's kind of mixes more modern with more old. Like, the life system is a good example of that. And you have lives here, but you don't get to bank them. You can't beat a stage with 5 lives, move on to the next stage and have 5 lives. Every time you enter a new stage, it resets your life counter. Depending on your difficulty, like you're probably looking at about 2 on average. And you can collect more lives in each stage, and you'll want to. And you'll want to beat each stage with as many lives as you can, despite the fact that you can't bank them, because lives play into the ranking system, which in turn plays into unlockables. And you want plenty of unlockables, and unlike a lot of modern action games, these unlockables are new characters, but they don't let you just level up or buy new moves. So hey, you can't you're not going to be going through older stages and going, whoa, I'm fantastic, but I actually haven't improved, I'm just more powerful now, which is, another good thing I like. Can't emphasise enough how much I wish more games would embrace that sort of system for unlockables instead of just giving you double health. But yeah, the life system here just works really well because you've got plenty of incentive to collect up lives, but you've also got plenty of incentive not to lose them, and it's pretty fair, really. Like, each stage is only about 10 minutes, so you're not going that far back if you lose all your lives. And it's not like losing all your lives is some big fucking punishment. Like, you won't face a really hard boss in this, lose all your lives, and go, well, fuck, I didn't know what to do, and all my banked lives I spammed previous stages for like an hour to collect are gone. No, it's just 10 minutes back, which I think is sort of ideal. So yeah, I think this works really well. I can see actually classic 2D platformers working quite well with that. I have a system where you're incentivized to actually go out, collect that extra life on a tough platform, which will probably kill you if you're not that smart. And because hey, I want the game to give me some little reward for saying, hey, you collected every life in the stage, and at the same time you didn't die once. Now, Streets of Rage 4 I can give a lot of praise for various things it does, but this is just a little sort of clever little system I think more games should implement, particularly sort of retro style ones. And yeah, that's kind of it. It's just a neat system. Hey, beat a stage, collect a lot of lives, and you get rewarded with a high rank and quicker access to new characters. Beat a stage with barely any life left, like I'm doing here, and hey, well, you just managed to squeeze it through the stage. Don't you feel satisfied that you got to the next stage? So yeah, very clever system. Praise the hell out of it, and just another good aspect of this very simple and not particularly content heavy or ambitious game, which nevertheless does so much fucking right. So there you go, ideal life system.